welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. I'm your host, Amy Edwards, and I'm so excited about today. I can't even express it. I know I say that every time, but I keep just having these amazing people to talk to and share it with you. And we're going to learn so much today. So we are here to up-level ourselves through mindset shifts, better habits, and just get that little 1% better every single day. And I am just so excited to keep growing this show. Your support helps, and all you have to do is just leave a review every now and then if something speaks to you, or share it with a friend, or just rate it. It takes 2 seconds, and so I'm super grateful every single time. So let's get to today's show with Brittini Burton. I'm so excited you're here, Brittini. I've really been excited about talking to you. You are a sensual empowerment facilitator. I want to get that exactly right. And the founder of Big Pussy Energy, which is for everyone. I want people just to say this at the top, that people to understand that that is for all humans, correct?
It is. And I also, right now in my space, I do more feminine identifying people.
Sure.
And that is who I speak to, because this creation, this business is from my own personal life experience as a female identifying person. However, of course, sensuality, and we'll get more into what BPE really is, but it's about empowering yourself in your sensual energy. We all have that. So I do create specific spaces so that everyone can experience it together. And in general, BPE right now is massively for the female identifying.
Okay, cool. Yes, which makes sense. Totally makes sense. And especially as you grow and really start to like put this out in the world and stuff, we're coming from our own experience. And then you've already had an experience with a man, you know, where it took it to a different place. And so that's just going to continue to grow, I'm sure, and expand your vision. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the medicine of having like women in a room together, reclaiming and experiencing their sensual energy, possibly for the first time ever, is its own medicine. And then doing that in a group of everyone, men, women, whoever, together, that's a separate medicine. They have their own intakes.
I can feel that in my own life, like with female friendships and those female bonds and stuff. Have you always connected with women really well? You know what? That's interesting, right? And so what shifted along the way for you with that?
Honestly, what shifted was BPE.
So this is like recent. You feel like you're connecting with women more like personally too?
Yes. Before I moved to Austin in January 2022, I was nomadic for 8 years. So I lived in a van for 5 months in New Zealand. I lived on yachts.
You were on the show.
I was on below deck, and I worked on yachts for 3 years on and off. Before that, I just traveled nomadically in hostels. So friendships just in general were very lucid. I didn't ever really have to flex the muscle of nurturing friendships, because it was literally one country 1 week, another country the next.
Yeah.
And in general, most solo travelers were men. So I was used to just being around men and then working on yachts. I was a deckhand, which is a male-dominated space. So I got really just comfortable, like neutralizing myself as a masculine energy to almost feel safe and protect like myself in a way.
That is so interesting. What an interesting perspective. Did that come kind of more in hindsight, or
100%?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like stepping into Big Pussy Energy, and like being in Austin, I mean, this space is filled with community. I'm creating Big Pussy Energy as a space to heal the sisterhood wound too. And that's very much part of the movement that it is.
And part of your own work, right? Like, I know. And so much of like the things we do come from our own, you know, wounds that we need to heal, or whatever that is, at least for me.
God, yeah.
And I notice it more and more, but I think it's so interesting when we start to recognize those. And so we met in maybe June-ish, I think, at a small event that had been put on by Delaney, I believe, who's amazing here in Austin. We'll have to put him in the show notes because he's so awesome. And you seem to me like I really liked you and started following you right away. So I've seen this Big Pussy Energy start to develop, which has been really cool. Yeah. And that's what caught my eye. And I was like, oh, she's got to get on the show. And she's ready to like bust out and break out and do all the big podcasts. And so you seemed, though, in that moment, like I could tell there was almost something that wanted to break free from you. It was almost like you wanted to say something. and it just wasn't like it was on the tip of your tongue and like you weren't getting it out or something right yet, you know? And so it's been really wonderful to watch this progression, and the branding's gorgeous and what you're doing is gorgeous. Like I remember seeing you dance on your social media and I was like, well, she's good. And it's just kind of mesmerizing, you know? And I was like, wow. And so I'm real curious, you know, your own evolution of this and what, you know, big pussy energy means to you.
Yeah, thank you for reflecting back the like growth and evolution, because that was only like 5 months ago.
I mean, you've done a lot in 5 months.
It's crazy.
What lit this fire? Like, and like, where did it all come from? I want to know your story.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much I want to ask you.
Yeah, there's definitely peaks and highlights to this experience of BPE and how she became about. And I also like, I'll speak to BPE. She's like a separate entity to me. I speak about her as a she.
Like, I like that. It's almost like the muse. It's almost like
she's
the
my
work
muse
coming through you, you know?
Seriously, like she's not my highest self. I see her as like when you hold a lantern, it's always like 2 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
She's like this light 2 steps ahead of me. Yeah. So BPE has been my like light that I didn't know existed until I put a name to it. But it all began 2 years ago. For me, I was, like I mentioned, I was very my masculine unknowingly. Like I didn't know what masculine feminine energies were.
Yeah.
But
and just operating.
Yeah, I was just operating.
I feel like in the last couple of years, it's talked about so much more than it ever was. So
yeah, and
at least in my life.
I was gonna say, I think that's also because of the community and like the co-creation that we are a part of.
That's where my algorithm has gone. Okay. Yeah.
The spiritual TikTok side.
100%.
Yeah. So I like I said, I was nomadic. I lived and traveled the world basically my whole 20s. I'm 28, and it all started because I had a very dull sex life. It was like very dull in the sense of like people, you know, culturally we talk about sex of like, oh my God, I crave it. It's so exciting. Like, ooh, it's lustful. And I did that from a mask performance perspective. But
I love that you're talking about
we're going straight into it.
I love it.
It all starts with
sex.
sex.
Good for you for admitting this, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I was like, I wanted to experience deep spiritual sex that I knew existed but didn't experience. So I was like, ooh, I need to get into a relationship to have that emotional connection. Long story short, I get into this relationship. We met when I was in Colombia, and he was in Colombia. He's from the UK. And we started this long distance relationship through email, and we became partners. And basically, hindsight, I moved to the UK, lived with him for 5 months. When COVID hit, I was there. Like, I experienced this whole relationship all revolving around the pure hope that I would experience love and deep intimacy with someone. And I thought, if I have a boyfriend, A plus B equals C.
It's that looking for it outside yourself.
Exactly.
Too, right?
And I was like, okay, I basically lost myself in that relationship. I completely enmeshed with his life. I mean, that's also when COVID happened and I had no job or friends. I was living in the UK with just him. And so codependency did sink and creep into my end of it. And I decided to leave. And once I did leave after 5 months living with him, we broke up a week later. And I was like, okay, the sex that we had together felt exactly the same energetically as sex that I've had my whole 10 years of being sexually active. Nothing changed. And I was already on a spiritual path where I was aware enough to be like, I've been pointing my finger outside this whole time. Like, maybe this partner will make me come, or maybe this partner knows how to have sex with me. And for the first time 2 years ago, I turned the finger at me and I was like, I need to know how to lust and muse on myself and know how to orgasm on myself. Mm-hmm. And that was really the beginning of it all. I really got into David Data. He was like,
I'm not familiar with him.
Oh my God.
Oh shit. Okay, good.
Yeah. David Data was the whole foundation of masculine and feminine energies.
Okay.
And I mean, he has one book called Finding God Through Sex.
Okay. Beautiful.
You know, that type of stuff. And I got really into that. And through that work, and I was living with my mom at this time. Like, you can do this anywhere. This was in between travels and in between yacht jobs. I was living with my mom in my childhood home. Mm-hmm. And I discovered Sensual.
Which is where?
Michigan.
Okay.
I discovered sensual movement just intuitively. The lights were low. I had candles. I'm in this small ass room. Can I swear?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm in this small ass room that my brother used to live in when we were kids. And there's like a small mirror on the wall where it's not floor length. It's like this little square. And I have to stand up.
You're like, let me.
Literally, this is all intuition. I stood up on a chair and I just stared at myself and started moving my body. And I was like, oh my God. For the first time ever, I think I ever experienced pure like muse and desire. And it was from my own self. Like I was desiring myself, and I never experienced that in that way with like a person before.
Yeah.
And that was really the beginning of it for me.
Yeah. And it's this paradox of like, if we don't love ourselves in that way, if we don't see ourselves that way, how can anybody else? You know, it's just, I'm constantly amazed by the paradoxes about it. Like we have to do that. And I've talked a lot. I did it about the same time as you. I was finishing a second divorce, and COVID happened, and I was like, you know what? This might be it for me. I might just be with myself. And so if that's the case, I better love the fuck out of myself, and I better have the best sex of my life with me. And so I did all these things too. I was on that same trajectory, and it opened up my whole world in a whole new way. So anybody who's listening, do that. I highly recommend doing this for yourself.
Yeah. And it can be as easy as staring at yourself in the mirror naked for 5 seconds.
It's very vulnerable. At least it was for me. And I would feel a little embarrassed sometimes. And both my parents are passed away, so I was like, okay, just look the other way. If you're looking, I don't know what's happening.
Well, that could be the most healing part too, is when you know you're fully alone and no one's there, recognizing the voices that are in your head making you feel like you're doing something wrong or uncomfortable. Like that's where you start.
Like this shame,
that pure
self-imposed shame or something, right? It's so debilitating if we're not conscious about it.
Yeah, and that's a big thing I'm kind of skipping over, but like where BPE comes in, it's a space that I create to give you that permission, that sometimes like I intuitively gave myself that permission, but not everyone even has that like intuition to like, what if I just shaked my ass and see what that looked like without trying it to be sexy, just to see what it feels like. So that's also just really important, is the permission to give yourself.
It's still a work in progress for me. Well, so let's go back to here you are looking in a small mirror.
Yeah. And basically like that was the beginning of it for me. I just really started getting in tune to movement and myself in movement and self-pleasuring. I got really into crystal wand work, using crystal wands to like de-armor and release emotions.
I have an ad running on this show, as a matter of fact, for wands, and the cervix wand is my favorite. So yes, there we go.
What company?
Little plug, Wands.
Oh, I know Courtney that owns it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
okay,
extra
definitely
plug.
get wands.
Yes, definitely. Highly recommend it.
I just got the cervix wand from that. So.
Oh, that's the one I am a big fan of, and that I have a special little shout out to.
Okay, cool. Okay, shout out.
Shout out to the cervix wand. It's great. Yes.
That's awesome. So that was like the whole journey. And honestly, I was traveling, and even when I was on Below Deck, I was in that journry. I was doing like movement practices when I could in the mornings, and they would film me, and it didn't get on air, but like I did it, like it was a part of my journey, and it was really important for me because like I said, I was in a very masculine space. So it was really, after I woke up to my feminine, I made sure that I found outlets where I could embody my feminine in spaces that aren't naturally there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because we can feel so like, sheepish about like, oh gosh, everyone's going to see me doing this. How did you function around like perceived judgment, or did you just go?
Okay, let me just tell you real quick. I'm a double Leo.
So you're like ready to.
I was like,
you
cameras.
look like you'd be a double Leo.
Oh yeah, double Leo. So I was like, please record me. Like, I love it. I loved it. So yeah, it didn't bother me.
Good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That serves you very well. Were you raised religious or anything? So, because as we were talking about like when you're alone and allowing yourself to do these things, like I know a lot of people that are raised Catholic or something have just like this deep ingrained stuff that they gotta like overcome. So it's kind of a blessing that you didn't have to overcome those like mental hurdles.
Yeah. And I believe that we all, like, our gifts are, like, our path is our gifts for a reason. And you know, I didn't have any religious like shame. Like my family, we grew up, I was Christian, but like all my friends were Jewish. So I went to a Jewish summer camp for 10 years. Like I can sing the Hamotzi if I wanted to, you know, like
That's awesome.
I was very like culturally like melty and religiously. And so, but that doesn't go against like, of course I had cultural shame. I grew up in the culture we all grew up in.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a lot about performance, around sex. And, you know, we
Me
say,
too.
yeah,
Me too.
we say that men have, like, we usually say performance anxiety for men and like being able to hold an erection. I actually really relate to that. I had performance anxiety, feeling like I had to come in order to validate the man's ego. I'm heterosexual, so my partners are men. And so it was like my pleasure was more for them than for me to validate them. And that was the whole, you know, and it's still like, I will be honest, like somatically, those imprints are something I'm still working through. It's not like I'm completely released.
I hear you. I'm 50 and I'm still just recognizing it and realizing it. And when we went to, I did a podcast on this, when we went to our first play party, they were like, well, what do you want? And I did not have the answer. And I started talking to some girlfriends around it, my best friend in particular. And I was like, do you know what you really want? And like, she ended up like, once we got down to it, she was like, no. And like, it's so eye-opening. What you said is just so profound, because even like the you know, end game or whatever, if you want to say, the orgasm or whatever can be to validate someone else. I've been there too many times to count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like the beginning of my sensual journey. And then to just skip over, like it was just like a 2-year journey.
Don't skip over anything.
Well, it was just like a 2-year journey, you know, I'm just like cruising, understanding her, understanding me.
It's kind of interesting that you were on like
A reality.
on a cruise, like so moving.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, it seems poignant that you were actually in motion as you were experiencing this own growth motion.
Yeah. No, 100%. And, you know, life just happens. And then I posted this on my Instagram today, ironically, but the reason why I moved to Austin was pure intuition. I was curious. I was like, there's a lot of people I look up to as mentors that live here. So I just want to see what it's like. And in that week, I lived a normal life. I like went to the gym and I was like, I want to live here. Like, I'm going to live here. I haven't lived somewhere in 8 years. And this is where I'm going to live in the summer. This would have been this summer. And then the next day I get a phone call from my captain at the time and they had to let me go unexpectedly.
Wow.
And
careful what you manifest there.
It was unreal. And I'm crying in this rental car in front of the laundromat. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know what I was going to do for work. I just lost my job and my home because you live on the boat. And they were going to ship my clothes from the Bahamas to wherever I wanted. Like I couldn't go back on the boat.
Damn, like your shit's arriving in a box.
It was in trash bags.
They didn't give you a box.
Yeah, so I love them, and it was for outside circumstances. So it had nothing to do with like me or them. But so I just decided in that rental car that this was the universe pushing me, because in yachting I was like 80% I was comfortable. Like I was making good money and I could do it and I got praised for it, but I wasn't like purposely doing my life mission, but there was no reason to leave. I was comfortable. And then, you know, the universe pushed me, and the next day I flew back to Michigan, grabbed my Prius, drove 2 days and landed in Austin. Had nowhere to live. I was pet sitting until I figured out where I was living. And basically I was in the most surrendered space in my life I've ever been in. And I look back to that like in January, so 10 months ago, and it was a happy moment for me. It wasn't like scary or there wasn't that much fear. It was because so much was taken, like everything, where I was living, my job, my income, like everything that I could tangibly like be in control of was completely taken from me. And the only thing I could do in that moment was to trust and surrender. And I knew that if I wasn't meant to be in Austin, I would get, you know, energetically kicked out. I wouldn't be able to find a space. You know, something would happen where I'd be like, okay, I'll move back to Michigan, live with my mom and figure it out.
Yeah.
You know,
energetically kicked out.
That's like exactly how I see it. And so that time in my life has been my greatest teacher of full surrender and full trust, because now in that journey, I found a house that I'm living in and it's beautiful. And I really woke up to what now has big pussy energy. There would be no way I would have been able to really sit with myself and be like, what is it that I want to create in this world? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like this action, like, you know, what do I want to do? What I want to do is through months of just pure trust and pure surrender.
And then it just evolved a little bit?
It evolved a little bit. So the job I got, so my fallback job, if I wasn't working on yachts, would be serving. And I was like, I don't want to serve. It was like a hard no. Mm-hmm. And that was scary because I was like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. All I've done my whole life was serve and yacht. I have a degree, but I was like, I don't want to do a 9 to 5.
What's your degree in?
Communications.
Okay.
It's like, I just have a piece of paper basically. So that was like a hard no. And I ended up finding a job at True Rest, which is a float spa.
Oh, this is weird. I talked to somebody earlier today, and you're saying things that she said.
Really?
Yes. And
Cool.
She was talking about True Rest,
Oh my God,
which I haven't even talked to anyone about in months.
Oh, yeah.
Weird, right?
So True Rest is connected to this other yoga space. They're the same owner, Lizard Yoga.
Yeah.
So
God, I've been wanting to go to Lizard Yoga. It's just south, and I haven't been able to go.
Oh my God, this is what's crazy. Yeah. I became a True Rest, like front desk, you know, minimum wage. And I was just working. It's ironic. The show comes out. So I'm on this like reality show. I'm working at a front desk at a True Rest spa. But everything just felt like it didn't feel heavy. It felt like something was brewing in me, but I wasn't conscious of it. But energetically, there's something.
That's the vibe I picked up.
Yeah. That's like around when we met. Mm-hmm. And I started to, I was doing sensual embodiment in front of people. I went to a retreat that my friend was hosting, and I was doing it by myself, like during a break time. And then all these other women were like, oh my God, teach me. And I was like, oh my, it gave me permission of like, this is what people want this. People desire to experience this. And, you know, there's other like studios in Austin, pole dancing studios that gave me this permission of women do want, or people do want to experience sexual movement to really get into their bodies. And it's like, that's what I've been doing for myself. So basically from that, I decided to teach I taught twerk shop Fridays at Lizard Yoga. So that was a really easy transition because I was working at the front desk of their sister company.
Yeah. I remember seeing those and I was like, I want to go. And I think I messaged you too, and then I couldn't make it.
Yeah. So that was like the slow, gradual, slow. Maybe
I know,
like,
right?
Like slow. But that was how it started. It was like, oh, I can actually do this too. Mm-hmm. Seeing other people teach gave me the permission to do it. And that's also really powerful. You know? You can do it too because others are giving you the permission. And so I started doing that. And then honestly, just organically, the first class I ever taught, my friend Cyan messaged me that night and she was like, this is bigger than this class. This is a movement. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I saw that and I knew that. And just through pure surrender and trust and just opening myself up to possibilities, someone said like, oh, you look like you have some big pussy energy.
I was about to say where'd that title come from.
And it was just like such a sly comment that like anyone could have just like forgotten about. Yeah. But it hit me. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. I was like, that's like what you want.
Yes.
And so that's where like, just like the idea of big pussy energy really came from is this, it's like the queen archetype is what big pussy energy is. It's this overall, like I am all of me. I am my shadows. I am my gifts, and I am whole because I've seen and embodied all aspects of myself. Mm-hmm. The feminine anger, the feminine sexuality, the like Kali, all of it.
And can you love it all? Mm-hmm. You know, that's always like every time I'm experiencing things in my humanity and my wholeness, I'm like, can I love that too? Can I love that too? You know, and life will present you with these things like, do you mean it? Can you love this too? You know, which is always very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Are you ready to up-level your pleasure practice? I have in mind, and one of the tools that I've used is from Wands. That's WAANDS. One of my favorite items that they have is the cervix wand. It is their #1 best-selling glass pleasure wand for vaginal and anal de-armoring. That means more sensation. That means more getting in touch with your body. It's designed for cervical and G-spot stimulation, and it has helped thousands of women become more connected to themselves and their own pleasure while supporting them to heal pelvic pain through self-yoni massage. So if you are curious about getting more in touch with yourself, then I have an offer for you. You can get a discount using my code Amy Edwards, but if you use the link in the show notes, you can get 20% off from Wands. They have so many other beautiful items to choose from, with a large selection of 100% pure crystal pleasure wands. They create the most gorgeous, luxurious products that encourage you to honor your body, celebrate your sexuality, and live in pleasure, which is a big part of what we're about on this show. And yes, I use one myself. So go today to wands.com, that's WAANDS, and use the code Amy Edwards for 10% off, or use my link in the show notes for 20% off of your purchase from Wands. Again, my favorite is the cervix wand. It is trademarked and it is amazing. Take it from me. Check it all out and the reviews on wands.com. That's WAANDS.com, and use my link in the show notes for 20% off. Have you experienced some obstacles that have surprised you, or has it really felt like a flow?
For now, it's felt like a flow. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm in a crunchy space.
What is that? What do you mean?
Like
of growth?
Yeah, I'm a very, very like action. I'm a generator, so I'm big on my human design. I'm big on my action. Like I take steps.
Well, I mean, it's happened. Like your website looks phenomenal. You know, like all your shit looks great. Like
thank you.
Like,
yeah, and
it already seems very pro. I was like, she's like must be working a lot to get all this done. So
well, I mean, I have like web designers and like yes. not doing that. Yes. But yeah, I have such a big vision. So first I'll say what big pussy energy is, because I feel like I haven't even said that yet.
Okay. Yes, right. Let's talk about that.
Big pussy energy is really a space for women to explore, own, and embody their sensual energy, because our sensual energy has so much wisdom in it. It's our sacral chakra that we really get to open up. And so using what we call life force energy within our bodies really opens you up to like gifts and passions, and it pulls things into you because you're exuberating this like fullness, this life force. Yeah. And it magnetizes things like into you. Exactly. Yeah. There's so many words for it. And
yeah, I know. And I was thinking like with Reiki, I'm a Reiki master too. And like that life force energy is what it's focused on, that chi. And like you just said, life force energy, but I focus on it this way so much. Like I'm pointing at my head. And so, you know, I imagine it here so much. And I think even like I know with a lot of spiritual work and stuff, we can get caught up here. And like this is where this security comes from. And it's just not to be neglected. It's part of us. So like get in tune with it, you know? And I know that like I still have a lot of work to do there. And anyway, I like thinking of that like force energy, you know, everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so with BPE, like what I see with her is doing these experiences. I did one like 2 weeks ago in Austin. It was a 4-hour, I called it my launch party because it's the first one, but that's why it's a launch party, except this is what I want to do with it. Yeah. Is bring these 4-hour experiences to people all over to different cities and different countries.
Yeah. We're on tour.
Yeah. BPE tour. That is it.
Yes.
Because everyone needs to experience themselves in this sensual, muse-like, desirable way. Mm-hmm. And I am very much capable of holding that space. And I love holding that space. And I love being there and giving others the permission that it's okay to do that too. Like at my launch party, I was wearing like a lingerie bodysuit with my ass just like out, G-string.
Really cute.
It was so cute. Yeah. And like boobies out, like there's just full permission. And so I do it through sensual embodiment, twerking, and lap dancing. Those are like the modalities of BPE.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I like that it's 4 hours too. It's super accessible for people, you know, like how much does it cost, or do you have your cost worked out?
Yeah, it's $88.
See, that's great.
Yeah.
Like anybody can do. That's less than a concert, you know, and you're really getting something in that regard.
Yeah.
Did you always dance or
No.
move? No.
Well, I mean, active. I've been active my whole
Sure.
life. Like, I was a cheerleader, but that's very stiff.
Yeah.
I was a track, which is just like whatever. And that's what I talk about in my classes is that culturally, in Western or Eastern cultures, there's not really any space where there's something that moves your hips and opens your hips.
There's really not.
No, in an organic way, the way that I like guide you through.
Yeah.
And that's what opens up your sacral chakra. I see our sacral chakra like as like a concrete like ball because we sit all the time, like physically we're like stagnant there.
Yeah.
But also just culturally the shame that we can feel in that space, which is where our sexual organs are stored. And the shame of just like moving our bodies the way that our sacral chakra would need to open up is very unknown and uncommon. And so what I do in my classes, when I visualize what we do with moving our hips the way that I guide you to, it's like we're breaking up this concrete and we're allowing cracks to like open, and we're allowing like this red or what is it? Orange, the sacral.
Yeah, I think, you know, your root is red and then the orange.
So we're letting this like orange light to peek through these cracks. And then once we're like allowing this orange light to peek through, we then, it like bursts open, cleanses out into your whole body. And that's like BPE to me, is when you drop into your body, and it can take 2 seconds. For me, it takes 2 seconds. I close my eyes, and after like my hips move for like 2 seconds, I'm dropped. And that's where BPE comes from, is when you feel that sacral energy open up and crack open.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the way you just phrased that. Yes. It's so appealing too. And I think, you know, if anybody listening is feeling that like, I could never do that or something, I hope that you'll pay attention to that, because so many times our mind can get in the way, and that means we're not dropped into our body.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's a constant, like that's what BPE is like having me do. Like I am the messenger of her, and so she's constantly having me up level and go deeper into my practice. And that's what I meant like earlier, that I'm feeling crunchy, because I'm being asked right now to really like deepen.
That's what happens. That's what I was saying about like the do you mean it? Like, are you really going to walk the walk of what you're putting out, you know? And like I get that all the time. Like I'm putting out these courses and stuff, and like I lost all my content, not all my content, but I lost things I'd filmed, and I'm doing a solo episode about it, but it was just life saying like, are you really meaning all the things you're saying? And I was like, holy shit, dude. Okay, fine. I'm going to trust. I'm going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's wild, right?
It is wild. And I've been saying lately, like that person who I was in January, when I had only but myself and the universe to lean on during that whole segment, I know I'm being asked to go back to that space. Now it seems harder just because I have things now. Like I have things that feel like I could lose. And I somatically experience what trust and surrender feels like in my body from that experience. And so I'm constantly going back to that version of me to learn, okay, I can trust. Like I have evidence now. Like that was birthing ground of the evidence for me to remember that I can trust and I can surrender.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I mean, I think if we're willing to, we can find those evidential moments in our lives and return to them to show us, because I was thinking about that with what you said about losing yourself in that relationship. I've been there, you know, more times than I'd like to admit. And it really happened again. I'd done all this self-work, like we were talking about with 2020 and all this, and really gotten in touch with myself and my sensuality and my spirituality and all this. And then I got in a relationship, and when he relapsed last year and had to go to treatment, I realized that I had lost myself. And I literally was just like, I wore a goddess necklace for a long time. And I just was always like really getting in touch with my own goddess nature. And I lost it. And no shit, this really happened. I finally got him, like it was so hard. Finally, he gets to his treatment. I came home, I looked in that mirror downstairs, and I had a goddess necklace on, and it literally broke. that moment. It like fell off me. And I was like,
What?
well, in
In the mirror?
Yep.
Holy crap.
And I was like, isn't that just the fucking truth? Isn't that it? And I just looked at myself in the mirror and I'd gained like 20 pounds. And I was just like, man. And I was like, I don't know who I am right now. And it was a blessing because I couldn't have any contact with him. And I had to really work to get back to that. But now when I hit a hard moment and have those things come up, I have that evidence and I'm able to go like, remember that? Okay, you found yourself again. But that what I'm getting to is that conscious daily work that it takes to not lose ourselves again and to not, or to just pay attention to the evidence, but know that it takes like these recognition and it takes daily work. You don't get to a one and done, check it off.
Ugh, no. And that's what with BPE, that's sensual embodiment. I encourage people to do it as a morning routine.
That was my next question about habits and daily routines. Tell me more.
So basically, long story short, my go-to is like put two songs on, like a 10-minute segment. And that's like what I do, because if I try to do it longer, I'm not going to do it. Because
keep it short.
Yeah, I'm very motivated in the morning. So I'm like, I kind of want to wake up and start the day. So for me, you know, I meditate. Oh, here's another thing. The masculine form of mindfulness is meditation, because you're sitting up straight, you're poignant, you're thinking of your breath or a mantra, you're thinking of one thing, you're concentrating on one thing. So that's the way the masculine energy tunes into itself. Whereas the feminine energy is flowy, and this is for men or women. The feminine energy is flowy. So the feminine equivalent of meditation is through movement, is through dance. And so that's my morning, is I do the masculine meditation, and then I journal, but then I flow into movement to cap it all off. And for me, I personally turn on my BP lap dance playlist, because
I love it.
Start the day.
Can I put it in the show
Yes.
notes?
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh, I bet it is.
It's amazing.
Yay.
Chip got it.
Oh,
He's
cool.
like plays it in highbrow, lowbrow for people. But to just do 2 songs with your eyes closed and your hips moving and just touching your hands, to really ground into your body and to ground into setting your day with the energy of sexual energy, with the energy of desire and a muse, and like ready, like magnetizing your desires into you. And with BPE energy, I say it's this energy that reminds you who the fuck you are. Yeah. Because when you drop in, you feel this innate knowing of, oh, I'm powerful, or, oh, right, I'm grounded. These little reminders start to come through that but you can easily forget. And your body, your BPE, wakes up and whispers them to you.
I don't do that practice enough. But I'll do it every now and then. Yeah. And sometimes I just want my own space to do it, and kids are around or Justin's around or whatever, but I really do value that. And such a good practice too, to just keep it manageable, like 1 or 2 songs, move, and you feel good. And I feel so much better. I did it last week and I was so glad I did. And I haven't done it since. But I wanted to say too, I've noticed in my meditations, which we're sitting right beside it, I move a little bit in my meditations, and I give myself that permission to just, move around, move what feels good, and just let energy flow a little bit through me, because there don't have to be these rules on meditation. Fuck that. There can be, what feels right to you right in the moment. And, the point is to clear your head. So however that comes about, go for it, So I like that we're saying that, because it's just been coming naturally to me and I've just been allowing it, which feels good.
Yeah. No, I love that. Allow the body. I always say that the body's language is movement. So allow the body to speak to you. Yeah. In that way.
Sensuality, however, if we're talking about senses, it can be so much more than just the movement, it seems like in your events too, you're really tapping into sound, and I can tell the lighting, which I'm a lighting freak. It's so it is so good. All these things, we can bring to ourselves. And then I don't know if you want to speak about that at all, but I also want to ask you too, if your practice in the morning leads to your wand practice, or what that's like for you.
Yeah. So my wand practice was really inherent to me in the beginning. It's really interesting because I listened to this podcast of Miley Cyrus when she was on Call Her Daddy like years ago. And she said something to me that rings really true to where I'm at right now. To be completely honest, like I was very much in a masculine energy starting the business like in September. So for 2 months, and like pushing the launch party out, like very just masculine.
Got to get things done.
You got to get it done. And
yeah.
it's really easy for me to get into my masculine. So there was nourishing aspects to it. And so in relation to that, however, my like sex drive, my libido for myself was lower, and I wasn't as watery and juicy. And so, and like I bring up Maya Cyrus because she experienced that. She says that too. Like when she's in this like very like project mode, like it kind of fluctuates how her sex drive relationship is. And I experienced that too. And so I'm coming back into, because the launch party was 2 weeks ago, I'm like feeling more creative and like bringing in like new possibilities. And so now BPE is having me get back into my feminine flow more. And so I'm walking into that space again. But yeah, it comes in and out of seasons.
I wonder if there's going to be a day when it's all just combined and like, you're just fucking blowing it up, you know? You're like
100%. And I know that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Like that whole balance of like how to be a CEO in her like boss babe archetype and this feminine, like juicy, desirable energy.
I'm so here for it.
Yeah. And I know that that's like where I'm walking into right now. It's just,
Yeah. But everything ebbs and flows. 100%. You know what? And even that idealized version that you just described, she's going to have to be human too. you know, which is part of the beauty of it. Can we love it all?
Yeah. And it's like, there's a point of me or like a month ago where I was like I was like, why am I not like as wet? Like I was like shaming myself.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like, I'm this person who talks about like your pleasure first and like my big pussy energy. And I just, had to come to terms with like, this is just the ebbs and flows.
I mean, what would big pussy energy do in that situation? It would give yourself grace.
Grace.
It'd be like, yeah.
100%. Like 100%. Yeah. So, I mean, we're all teaching ourselves.
Yes.
I'm a huge person about like archetypes. So like, that's why I bring up my side, because I was like, I freaking love her. And she's so authentic. And
I love her.
Hearing that from her, like this, like woman who also exuberates liberation and sexual liberation and all of her, she's very queen archetype. Like also is like, you know what? Right. Like owns it right now. Right now I'm not in my like sex goddess phase. And that's okay too.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Because we're always transforming and moving, and it's just going to be what it is.
Yeah.
And so can you give yourself grace? Because that's the queen shit right there.
Let me tell you, that is some queen shit right there.
Queen shit.
Yeah.
So let's circle back. How are your female relationships and how has this opened up?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. BPE, like I said, originally just was like weekly classes that I was and I still teach these weekly classes, and then it's grown to this 4-hour experience. And I'm also hosting retreat in March. So it's creating a community essentially, which I didn't know that was the head purpose when I was doing it. I was just doing whatever felt right. Like I wanted to do these events. I wanted to do a retreat. And now that I'm doing them, I'm seeing, oh my God, this is actually becoming more than just a one-off experience. It's becoming a community. And
how exciting
it is. It's so exciting. I see it as a movement. I truly do. Like that's my vision. And that's what I see. I mean, Rise of the Feminine and BPE is amongst all these other huge creators of Rise of the Feminine movement. And the sisterhood experience I do in BPE with twerking. That's how BPE heals the sisterhood wound. Is I give women the space, and through lap dancing, I give women the space to be witnessed in their sensual energy.
That's awesome. I'm laughing because my 13-year-old daughter twerks around the house all the time.
Yes.
And maybe I need to be more supportive. Maybe I need to join in more.
That's what I do in my classes. I literally split the groups or the class, no matter how big or small the size is, into 2 groups. And the people that are doing the movement, twerking or lap dancing, are doing it out of filling their own cup up. They're not performing for the women who are watching them. It's for them. And I tell them the difference of what's performance and what's not. And then the people who are sitting down on the ground, they're celebrating. I literally ask them to cheer us on, celebrate, like, woo.
Yeah.
And that's really how we get to heal. Like, it all starts with us, because I know growing up, like, seeing another girl like twerking or grinding on a guy, you either judged it, compared, or criticized, or you assumed it was for like getting attention for the guy, whatever, like all these different assumptions. And in this space of BPE, we're here to celebrate each other, encourage each other in the embodiment of sensuality.
And it pushes people out of their comfort zone. I mean, just listening to that, I'm like, oh, I'd be so out of my comfort zone. You know, like
a lot of people feel that way, but then when they come to the class, or come to the space, it's really fun. And like, I mean, big pussy energy, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, that has an energy of like kicky and like spunky. And I would say like that's what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how.
Well, so what about your personal relationships with women and like your friendships and stuff? How have you seen that evolve now?
I have seen that evolved in this space. I was in this leadership program for 5 months, and they were talking about how what I really gained a lot from that experience was what I want to create is not going to be from an I space. It's going to be from a we space. Like, it's not I, Brittini, am going to be this movement and this influence. It's me and the supportive group of women that I have alongside me. Like, that's what I got really ingrained in me. And so after that, like, leadership program, I really invested in my sisterhood, in my sisters, and in taking, like, supporting and encouraging the women in my life the way that I encourage people to do in my classes. And it's only brought me back 10 times the amount of love and support, and even money. Like, now I have my friends saying like, oh, I have a bachelorette party, they want to do lap dance, and they'll like bring them to me. They'll book me because my friends want to support me, and they see the vision as big and strongly as I do. Yeah. So my friendships have become very, very ingrained into my life.
Isn't that a nice change? Like, doesn't that feel good?
I've never, like I said, I was a traveler. I never really had community until
and the close women friendships you were saying too, you know, like
there's something powerful about bringing women together.
For sure. And that's what we do at BP too. Yeah. I love that. I value it so much. Yeah, podcasting has been interesting because it's, you know, very male dominated, I feel like, and kind of a boys club, and so you know, just to keep women's voices being heard is really, I mean, I have men guests too, but it's just so important to me. Yeah. And just to keep recognizing that in all of us. So yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Who inspires you right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, that's a good question because I like being asked those questions because then it's like, do I have someone that inspires me? Yeah. And I don't have an automatic answer. I'm just speaking out loud. That also helps me understand that maybe that is something that is important to have.
I don't know.
To have that, like,
I don't know what I would answer for that right now. Honestly, if you were like, who inspires you? I'd be like, shit.
Actually, no, I do have an answer.
Oh, cool.
Vailana Marcus.
I love Vailana.
Yeah. Yes. She's
embodying the shit out of everything right now. Yeah.
After this week, it's funny. Like, I had this whole experience on the 11/11 portal this past week about like, what is it that I want to, like, what is big pussy energy? Yeah. Like, originally it started as like, I want to have women to experience their sensual energy through movement and through twerking and lap dancing. But now I'm experiencing it so much deeper. And in this like energy work I was doing for my friend, I recognize like it's the rise of the feminine, and this is part of it. I am creating this space. BPE is the rise of the feminine, like waking up, seducing people into waking up versus masculinely being like, wake up, you know? And then that same day is when I watched Goddess Rise, which is Vailana's like short film music video. And
I haven't watched the whole thing, but I've watched parts of it, and it's so beautiful.
It's
and
so
I was like, shit, I got to really devote myself to sit and watch.
Yeah, it's like 25 minutes. Yeah. And it was funny. I was watching it, and I was consciously being like, I should be jealous, or I should feel like I'm not enough watching this. but I should be comparing myself. Like those are like the natural things that I feel like would happen. But then I was sitting there and I'm like, no, we're on the same team. Like we are next to each other, holding hands, like energetically. Like she said in a podcast, like she visions women holding hands in a circle and creating this rise of the feminine. And I was like, I'm right there next to her. It wasn't a comparison. It was, I'm right next to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that was like this moment of like, whoa. So like, that's why I say BP is so much bigger than just the sensual embodiment movement. It's the beginning of the rise of the feminine.
Yeah. I'll put that in the show notes too, a link to that for anybody that wants to check out her thing. And also to the show that she was on this show with Caitlin, and we talked a lot about healing those feminine wounds. And it was super interesting just coming from the two of them together too. So it's a great episode. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure that, you know, her intentionality within that too is like, it's like infused, like, because that is what she is perpetuating. And so anytime we have that intention, you know, like you were saying with the we, that's such a powerful thing to set out initially. And so I bet she was going on what I know of her, and I would bet money, you know, that she was putting a lot of intentionality behind the music, every note, you know, with Laura, and, you know, every frame of that film. And so, you know, anytime that we're able to tap into that intentionality, and I think that that's just, it's going to come through. So you putting that into that we space, people are feeling included. They're feeling, it just resonates. It just comes across, you know?
Yeah. And it all works so beautifully. Like I've heard her say like, how she wants to empower the feminine to rise is through her music and through her words and through her spoken codes. And for me, it's through the embodiment of your sensuality and through through your movement. And so they all like ebb and flow together.
They do. And they do. And, you know, it takes time to figure that out too, and just relaxing into it. For me, it took a long time. Like you know, mine's voice. And it just took a long time for me to look back on my life and go like, oh, that was voice, and that was voice, and that was voice, and that was voice. You know, it all makes sense now. And so I think that if someone maybe was listening and not understanding their purpose, like it's okay, you know,
oh my
like
God,
you're gonna, it might take some time, and that's 100%. All right. Yeah. And then, you know, it can start to make sense. Just keep, you know, doing those practices like you did. Those trust and surrender are so powerful if we can just allow it, which is simple and yet difficult.
Yeah, just breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm so happy for you. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you really wanted to talk about, or anything on this journey for you that's been coming up lately?
I would say one thing about sisterhood too, which, you know, like I said, sisterhood is now becoming a really big part of, it's like sensuality and sisterhood now are the pillars of BPE for me. And I've been saying this is that, like space, we have a really weird dichotomy with space in our society. It's either like, if I take up space, I won't be loved. Like I need to dim my light because it will make others uncomfortable. I experienced that, like traveling. I never talked about my travels because like no one could understand living in a van in New Zealand. Like it's too much like bigness.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have so many travels. I like, don't even talk about them. But, and then the other one is, if someone else is already taking up space, there's no room for me to take up space.
Right.
Or like the whole thing of like, oh, if there's a woman podcaster that's doing spirituality or whatever, I can't do it because it's already being taken.
Right.
Which is,
rather than viewing it as maybe permission.
That's
or maybe,
exactly.
Or maybe even the universe just like being like, oh, that's what you want. It's possible.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I say. And a big thing that I'm really understanding and ingraining is that space is infinite.
Space is infinite. It's not a zero-sum game. I'm right there with you. Yes.
The more space you take up, the more space is given to you.
Ooh, I like that. Yes.
And that's why I'm so involved in like empowering my women around me, because it like I said, it only adds more to my life. And I'm not doing it from like oh, that means I'll take more. It's yes, of course you can have this too. And of course you can have the mic too. And you can have the stage too, because I can have the stage.
Yeah. And see, it's possible.
Yeah.
See, it's possible. I know it's taken me a long time to shift into that mindset. I'm sad to say. I wish I had done it sooner, but I'm glad we're at least, getting there collectively.
So yeah, space is infinite, y'all.
Yeah. What do you do in those moments? Does comparison creep up sometimes?
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah, you're human. So do you have some practices around that? Like, what do you, use to get back to that mindset?
Yeah. There's a few things. I have like a statement that I tell myself, and my statement is, and it's just like my overall like self-contract is, I am a loving, passionate, confident leader.
Love it.
So it's like, okay, I got that, And then also it's, this is what has been said before, but like comparison is on the same line as inspiration. And so seeing what that person has that you wish you had and being inspired by it.
Kind of like what we were saying.
Exactly. Or permission. But honestly, it's a tricky one because I feel like there's different aspects of comparison. So like I felt it in friendships, and so I'll speak to them about it. But sometimes you can't speak to the celebrity that you're comparing yourself to.
Yeah.
And so that could be inspiration or a permission.
Yeah. Or maybe you could. Maybe you could just do it in your head and be like, Gwen, I'm comparing my wardrobe to yours.
Are you saying like Gwyneth Paltrow?
Gwen Stefani.
Oh, Gwen.
I really love Gwen Stefani. I really love Gwen Stefani.
Oh my God, I love that.
Her wardrobe and all that. So, maybe you could have a conversation. Maybe you could have a conversation in your head and they're kind. And then suddenly you're like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, what if?
What if? We're all connected.
Yeah, we're all connected.
You just like energetically pull her into meditation.
Yeah, have a little conversation, because chances are if you did have a conversation with that person, it would be kind and you would feel loving and inspired and like the powerful leader that you are.
And I think another big thing, overall shadow or overall umbrella, is like remembering everyone's human. Right. And not putting someone on a pedestal, which is so easy to do. And that's where a lot of comparison can come from, is thinking someone's like better than you. I think it's also just really good to ground, like, they're human. Like, we're all human.
Well, you've seen a lot of that too. Cause I think, just having the background with a reality show and stuff, like people, like that is a really interesting perspective for that.
Yeah. Well, I've had people notice me on the streets like multiple times.
I bet.
Yeah. And it's just so funny to be on the other side of it out of like nowhere. Like one day I was just a yachty, and now I'm like, and I also feel like BPE is becoming something of its or like something too that people are recognizing me from. Yeah. And so it's just so interesting to have that switch and be like, well, I'm the same person.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Just you've seen me on a show now, and that's the only difference. And I'm also very human. So being on the other side of it honestly has been the biggest lesson.
I bet. I'm sure it's a lesson in ego too, and managing. I don't really like to use the word managing, but managing that and checking your ego.
I will say, I don't feel like I have to give props to Austin, because the community of Austin, because none of my friends have like TV or cable. And so like being on a reality show that's on Bravo, most people, when I have no idea.
I had no idea. I had no idea. I'd never seen it.
Yeah, like y'all kept me fucking humble. like living here keeps me, I've only lived here. The show came out while I was living here. So like, honestly, just having commute, like it's never gone over my head, because it's the most humbling experience, like living in a space like no one even knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, my ego is just naturally checked, I think.
That's good. That's good. My 17-year-old daughter, I'll just tell you this story because it's kind of funny. My 17-year-old daughter told me that her dad, he lives down in Circle C, and he and his son were just walking their dog to the park during F1 one Saturday or something. And this couple drove up, and they were like looking for a place to have a picnic, and they had their kids. So anyway, they were like, we have too many muffins, do you guys want to join us? And he was like, okay, the son wanted to. And I guess Rob was like, no, I'm not going to interrupt. But they ended up sitting down with them, having muffins or whatever. Rob gets home later, and he's like, God, that guy's name sounded so familiar, and he looked him up. It was fucking Kylie Jenner and Travis Scott.
Wait, what? Yeah. He had a picnic with Kylie Jenner because she had too many muffins?
And had no clue who she, like, he didn't know, he didn't even, And the son too. And like, I'm like, what an amazing experience for them. Like, man, that just being normal people,
Wow. That's like more than normal. That's like so generous. Come to the picnic with me. I have 2 main muffins. That is so freaking cool.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I
So
love
anyway,
that.
I just thought I'd tell you that. Anyway, just
It's a
came to
good
mind.
story.
It is a good story. I mean, I'm cracking up. Anyway, but yeah, good. You know, Austin is an amazing community. I'm so glad you're here. I've lived here for 30 years almost, and I'm just to watch what this is building into with all the amazing people here, and to be able to build something like this is the right space.
Oh
This
my God.
is like this inviting space.
I mean, that's the reason why I was intuitively told to come here through my intuition. This was the perfect space for it to grow. Like it literally feels like I gave birth to something.
you did.
I literally did.
I mean, it's big pussy.
I mean,
energy.
something had to
Something's
give birth.
birthing. So there's a birth canal involved.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Man.
All right. So as I feel like wrapping up a little bit, but is there anything else that we need to focus on, or anything that we missed that you want to discuss today, or that was on your heart, even while you were thinking about the show this morning, or anything?
No, I guess other than just like I'm noticing I'm in a space in my life where like discomfort is just every aspect of living.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I'm the growth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a quote that's like as an entrepreneur, be comfortable in discomfort.
Yes.
And
I just heard that again, like today.
And
yes.
I guess that's what's on my heart is
love
like,
it.
oh my God, is just, I'm obviously really spiritual, and like being an entrepreneur as well, it has been the most spiritual journey and experience I've ever been on. And I can't imagine doing anything else, even on the times that are so uncomfortable where I think there's a back door, but I'm like, of course there's no back door. Like, of course I'm doing this. What do you know, but
yeah,
that feeling of discomfort is almost, I mean, it's in a way it's home.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. Now that's juicy.
Yeah.
It is.
Ooh, she's coming back.
That's right. So for somebody listening, what would be the top thing you would tell them to do, like right now? If they were like listening to this and they were like, gosh, I would like to do this, but maybe they don't have access to one of your workshops or something. Like what would be the top thing that you would tell them to do right now?
Okay. So the first thing I would say, if this is a person with a vulva, literally buy a full length mirror.
Okay.
Buy a full length mirror, invest in it could be $20 from Target, or go on Amazon and get like $100 one. Buy a full length mirror. That is like my temple, is my mirror.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And let that space be sacred to you. Mm-hmm. And then I would go further in to like sit down, be naked, and open your legs and just witness what your pussy looks like.
I like let that space be sacred to you.
Yeah.
Because that actually pushes me a little bit. I'm thinking about my full length mirrors and I'm like, have I made that sacred? Mm-hmm. Have I, taken some sage around it? Have I cleansed it from maybe there's an opportunity to cleanse it from the negative self-talk that we might have engaged in that mirror.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
I just thought of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say that specifically because, for men, like it's really easy to look at your genitals. You literally can stand up and look down. I mean, to pee.
Yeah, right.
It's there.
It's
for women, like you literally need to open your legs and consciously think, oh, I'm going to open my legs to look at my pussy. Like it's a very like step-by-step conscious experience.
Yeah.
And that's like the first step is to get curious about what your pussy looks like and touch her and start a relationship with her.
And let go of criticism of her.
Yeah. I would say like the first step of letting go is being aware of it.
Yes.
So being aware of the criticism.
Okay, I like this. Yeah. Just be aware. Awareness is always like the thing, right?
And like through the awareness is where you get curious of like, oh, why do I feel like she's not pretty? Like what has gotten me to that point to think my body isn't good enough?
Yeah.
And then it can go down the whole like, oh, it's the route of like the porn industry, like surgically changing vulvas, all of these things. So it's just that first seed that can be planted.
Yeah.
And then just start a sensual morning routine.
And then that's the steps toward what you say, liberation.
Yeah.
Right?
Liberation is owning all parts of yourself and just like being okay with the parts that might feel sticky or shamey, or that's the whole thing with like BPE is we bring up the parts that culturally we're supposed to deny or suppress or be ashamed of. And instead it's in a space of like fun and laughter and celebration and bringing in them up. And like you said, into love and just seeing it as it is like, oh, sensual energy, sexual energy is so fucking beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That was phrased so well. And I was thinking about not only culturally or maybe as culturally our familial, you know, and like shaming that and just even those little spaces where you can find it and just be like, yeah, owning it all, you know, owning this fullness. I'm so here for it. And that helps us, that liberation pushes us into that more powerful space, right?
Yeah, it's a doorway into that powerful space. Yeah,
almost literally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lotus flower. You know,
that's right. Step on inside.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to mention to you. I just think, you know, I love the word liberation, and
my LLC is Sensual Liberation LLC.
beautiful.
So it's like in there.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, we should name things what we really mean, you know, and you're going to get some opportunities to liberate in ways that you don't even expect, I'm sure.
Liberate, reclaim. Those are like two words that ring really true to me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is your mom still around? And how is she receiving all of this?
She's so chill, man. Like I have always been the person in my life that what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. So she knows that. I mean, we'll look at what you've done in your 20s.
Like,
I mean, like, she's probably like, oh.
Yeah. Like I lived in Australia when I was 19, you know, like there was nothing that she could have said no, but it wouldn't mean anything to me. Like seriously, like in the most loving way. And so she's on the ride. She doesn't really know. I feel like she's like, oh my God, this sounds so amazing. But she doesn't understand like actually what's happening. Like, cause she's just so used to me just doing like big ideas and doing them and just doing them. And she's just like literally on the ride. And she's like, oh, this is cool. I showed her my website. She's like, this is so cute.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. I wonder if she'll come to a workshop sometime.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be a definite comfort zone. She's like, that's for you, which is a lot of things. That's what people tell me all the time. It's like, oh, that's for others. And that's the other thing real quick is we're so used to seeing other women in their sexual energy and being like, oh, that's for them. Like even like I'm randomly thinking of like on music videos, you see these women just like dancing and being sexual, like, oh, that's so beautiful. And that's not me.
Yeah.
And my question is like, why not?
Why not?
Like, ¿por qué no? It's literally tattooed on me.
Ooh, I like that.
Like, why not? And bringing into the arena that sensuality is innate. It's innate in us. It's the same as hunger, but we just culturally chose differently with it.
That's right.
And
we have sex organs. We have this as a part of our lives. Why deny it?
Why deny it? And so you too can be that like beautiful sexual movement goddess if you want it, if you gave yourself the permission to be.
Because we're the only ones holding ourselves back when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
You can point outside like, no, they can't handle it. They can't handle it. But ultimately, we're the ones holding ourselves back.
Yeah.
So good for you. Pushing it all out there.
We're birthing, baby.
Yes. What do you see 2023 like for you? Or can you even speak to that? Maybe you can't.
Yeah, 2023, I'm having a retreat in March.
Where's that?
Marble Falls, like an hour from Austin.
Yeah.
So it's 4 days.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
There's some beautiful. Is it like at a home or?
No, it's at a like a retreat space where it's like glamping.
Yes.
Like in like yurts and
Love it.
retro campers and yeah, I see a lot. It's like for 20 women and I see a lot of liberation in there. Like I really want to do, or I'm going to do a topless dinner where we're just like boobies out.
Why not?
Why not?
I could eat dinner topless. I could do this podcast topless.
Literally, that is like the big, that's why it's like, I'm so excited to do retreats. Cause when I thought of Big Pussy Energy, I saw it first as a retreat to like, to bring a world of sensual liberation, like for 4 days. So you can experience it. And I've experienced spaces where being naked wasn't sexualized, it was liberating.
Yes.
And that's what I want to, my intentions are for the retreat is to bring out what we assume is sexual and just see it as liberating.
Yeah, yeah. I had one experience. I've been a rock and roll artist in the past, and I was in a girl band, and we were in Vegas. We were going to an event, not performing, but we were all getting ready, and we all spent time together completely naked and getting ready. And I think we were like spray tanning ourselves too or something. So there was like a reason, but then we were all just walking around, and I thought it was really awesome. Like it was really great, like to have those moments all together and to just be accepting of each other. Just like, here we are.
Yeah. There's like 3 minutes of like, oh my God, I'm naked, or shock, or like, oh my God. And then after those 3 minutes, you're like, wait, you're beautiful.
Who
And I'm
cares?
beautiful. Yeah. Like you just see bodies as being beautiful outfits at the end of the day. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, it really is. And it's funny how much that has stayed with me. And I never thought of it in this context of like making that connection of why. But it was like a good female space where it was just
safe and
safe and who you are. And I'll have to ask them if they feel the same way, or even, I don't know, remember it. But yeah, really beautiful. A topless dinner. Maybe you should just do some topless dinners. You know?
My God, like host a topless dinner.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Oh my God, I would be there.
Ooh, that'd be so fun. Okay. So
Let's
that could be in 2023.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Okay, good. Well, I was opening up the floor, and as we were wrapping up, it oftentimes it leads to more discussion. So is there anything else that we need to cover before we sign off and give everyone how they can find you? So is there anything else that's coming up that we need to talk about? Because I love talking to you.
Oh, me too.
I really do. I was so excited. I just knew in my gut that this was like really powerful, and what you were doing was really like aligned with, helping us all rise to our higher self.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just feel really appreciated to have this space, and like what we were saying, like Rise of Femme, like you are giving women voices to speak about like their passions and bringing it out into the world even more.
Yeah.
So
I know one thing we didn't cover. It was when you walked in, when we were just visiting before we started recording, you were talking about a man having an experience in this, and how, maybe as this grows, it will expand to men and the movement that they can open up to. Yeah.
So as I see Big Pussy Energy, it is a space, like I said in the beginning, for female identifying. And then I do see myself creating experiences for co-ed and for everyone else to join in specific created experiences for that too. And so in December 14th, I'm doing a co-ed sensual embodiment in Austin, Texas. And I thought of that because my friend James, he had a really small experience, like a 10-minute experience of me guiding sensual embodiment with men and women together. And it was like a big night, and that was only 10 minutes of that whole night. And he told me that day that was the best part of the whole experience that he had, was those 10 minutes of going inwards and experiencing not only, sensual energy, but allowing himself to experience it through movement that wasn't sexual. Yeah. That was just opening up. Like I said, you are opening up this sacral chakra within you. And he like released tears from it, because we hold trauma and stored emotions in our hips.
They always say that in yoga.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's what
mine
we
are
do.
Always like stiff.
Oh my God. Yeah. And so I haven't done a co-ed space outside of that like 10-minute experience. And so I'm really excited to hold space for men and women to experience sensual embodiment together. Because like I said in the beginning, it is a separate medicine that we each get to experience. From my experience, I feel like it'll be really good medicine in the sense for women to hold the feminine energy, and that will allow the men to have permission to experience it too. Yeah. Like I feel like the energy is going to be really opening for both of them.
Yeah. And to check in with like, at least I know like when I've done ecstatic dances and stuff too, in a co-ed environment, that I've had to check myself a moment, like, am I doing this out of a perception of what people who are watching might be thinking, and
well,
just
that's the best thing about how I teach, is that your eyes are closed.
I love it.
Yeah. And there's a section where you'll even be blindfolded.
Love it.
All of you.
How beneficial.
Oh my God. And that's how you're able to get in so deeply to your sensual energy so quickly, because our senses, you know, we have our 5 senses to experience the outside world, but we also have the senses to experience our inner world.
Yeah.
And so eliminating your sight allows you to see inward. And then I also use music, and I use it loudly so that, you know, drowns out the outward sound. So it's a really cerebral, whatever, experience.
Yeah. Cerebral.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited to have that for everyone.
I love that. I mean, that's a true gift to be able to take that out of the equation, just to push you into that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope to be there. Justin and I want to come. So, and I'm really excited because it does push me out of my comfort zone, and I need it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh. We're in it, baby.
Let's
Buckle up. Buckle up.
Yes. And if everybody wants to find it, of course, it's at bigpussyenergy.co.
Yes. Thank you.
And I made a note of that. I was like, I was like, she'll be impressed. And you were. Well done. Yes. And of course, it's on Instagram as well. And people can find you at your name, Brittini Burton. And where does your name come from anyway?
My name, well, my mom always wanted to name me something really weird. So Sedona or Erte, those were my other names.
Wow.
Yeah. And my dad, my family was like, absolutely not. I'm from the 90s, of course. So Brittany was like the first option. And then my mom chose the spelling of it.
Yeah.
Which is phonetically Brittini. And then I grew up my whole like childhood being called, like saying Brittany, because it was just easier for my mom as a single parent to introduce her kid as Brittany instead of like making everyone say Brittini.
Yeah.
Especially as a young kid. And then when I went to college, the first day of college, I was like, you know what? My name is actually phonetically Brittini, so I'm just going to call myself Brittini.
I love it.
And I just decided to change my name, like the pronunciation of it, like that day.
Good for you.
I mean, it's my true name, but I just, you know, didn't say it until I was 18.
Nah, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
But that's just part of your evolution.
It shows you that you can literally create the life you want to create. Like
100%. Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
I love it. I love you. And I'm just so excited to be able to amplify your message just a little bit more into this ether of this experience. So thank you for everything that you shared. Thank you for making time to be here today. I encourage everyone to follow you. Everything will be in the show notes. Hopefully everything that we touched on today too, I can put links to, and people can look for your events and your world tour coming soon.
Yeah.
Maybe that's 2024. Maybe your US tour is 2023.
Yeah, for sure.
I know, but you never know what opportunities are coming your way. And so
that's the whole feminine, open, trusting to receive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so everyone follow you, and I'll be linked. And so thank you. I'm so excited you were here. And thank you everyone for being here today too. Let's all step further into our sensual energy. And I will be updating you on how that goes for me, as you know, as I like to do. So follow me too on Instagram, Real Amy Edwards, or sign up for my newsletter. It's at amyedwards.com. And of course, my courses are coming out as we speak. So you can get your ageless mindset or your youthfulness hack, which I'm stoked about. So that's all on my website or my Instagram too. All right. So step into your big pussy energy, whoever you are, little steps at a time. And I'm so grateful for you, Brittini. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being here. If this spoke to you, made you think of somebody, send it to a friend, have a conversation about it, because that's what it's all about. It's all about this energy that we're creating and opening up. And anytime we can have these conversations, it opens things up within ourselves and for others, and just makes this world, I believe, a better place every time we're having these conversations. So I love you so much, and I'm so grateful. Remember to rate, review, subscribe, all the things, and just thank you so much for being here. I love you. Till next time. This has been the Amy Edwards Show from Overcome Studios. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. And thank you so much for being here. Sign up for our newsletter at amyedwards.com.